Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Reviewing Comics with me, your host, Alexander Turbin. Today I'm going to be going over Brahm Stokers Dracula #1 from Topps Comics. It's a 1992 comic. But before we get into that, I'd like to show you some of my own work. This is Random Access. It's a 12-page, full-size, full-color comic that I produce for my patrons. You can get these at patreon.com/Alexander Turbin. And it's just $3 a month. And you also get a sticker, and it's usually full color, but I'm going to black and white for a couple months just to kind of recoup my energy into doing the black and white. But like I said, it's a full size, full color. You can also get these at alexanderturbin.com, which is my website, or you could just contact me on Instagram at alexturbin0441 at Instagram. So, yep, there you go. So, Brahm Stokers Dracula. I really love this movie, and so it's got a lot to live up to. I love this movie, but I really think that the first 20 minutes is probably one of the best movie making experiences. Maybe that, or the first Star Trek remake. But after that, it becomes just kind of a regular horror-y kind of thing. Dracula fare. The first 20 minutes, pure movie magic. After that, it just kind of becomes a regular movie. But it's enjoyable. The rest of the movie is still enjoyable. So I want to see if the adaptation into the comic books form holds up. So I'm gonna, as usual, just go through the book, and then after that, I'll talk about the writing and the art. The writing is by Roy Thomas, and the art is by Mike Mignola and John Nyberg. Of course, Mike Mignola is the creator of Hellboy and all kinds of amazing stuff. I love his art. So the beginning, this part has a little introduction by Harker and. Not Harker, Van Helsing. And I can't remember if that was in the movie or not. I remember this part very specifically. I don't think that this was in it, but I might have to watch it again. I've watched it dozens of times, so you'd think I'd know, but apparently I don't. So this is good. In the movie, I'm going to be comparing a lot of it to the movie. In the movie, this is a little bit more in shadow. There's like a red background. It's very creepy. The colors kind of make it muted. It should definitely have been a red background and something like that. It also, I actually like this a little bit better because in the movie, when he lances somebody and pulls them up, he kind of pulls them up by the lance very slowly and very rigidly. And it doesn't really look all that realistic. Knowing that it takes such immense strength to be able to lift a man off of the ground. I don't think any man could do it. Even like full Arnold Schwarzenegger or the Mountain or anything like that. I don't think they could do it. So it really should have been read. So it's just basically the Count and the Turks have invaded Constantinople, and he, with his special forces of 7,000, they wrote 30,000 Turks. So it's a war, and then he comes home. In the movie, there's music playing, and it's like heart beating. It's like really ferocious and everything, and you just can't get that kind of effect from a comic book. I mean, I love the comic book format more than movies, but there's no motion, there's no sound, there's no energy that you can transcend to as a comic than with the movie. So it's two completely different mediums. They're trying to change it into a comic book medium, and keep that same kind of energy, and it doesn't work. Some of it is the colors. This should have been deep red. I think it was red. If it wasn't, this should be, because you have certain things in your palette to make a comic more actiony, more emotional, and colors is just one of those things in your toolbox to use. So the Count comes back. He's killed all of these Turks. He's a vicious, horrible warrior. He comes back to his castle, and the church, the priest, who is also Van Helsing. I'm not entirely sure why they chose that. Is he Van Helsing? Is Van Helsing the same age as Dracula? I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe it's just a bloodline, which is pretty cool, but still, I kind of wish that they had gone back and said something about that. So that's his wife, and she threw herself off of the castle. Who am I to ever say what Mike Mignola should do? But I kind of wish, or would have had, or would have liked to have seen the falling from the castle being a little bit more of a bigger panel. Like this whole side could have been her falling off of the castle, and then these other panels here showing that she committed suicide, so she wasn't going to go to heaven, and that they're separated forever. My favorite scene in any kind of movie is when Dracula freaks out and throws his sword at the stone cross, and then blood starts pouring out. And this just kind of, I mean, in the movie, it just starts pouring. It's pouring out, and it's just everywhere, and he's just going crazy. And I mean, so much of what happens in the movie is good is because Gary Oldman, who is like one of my favorite actors of all time, he just takes this role by the balls, and he just rams it down your throat. And you really can't do that with comics. It's a little bit more nuanced. It's a little bit more. You need the writing and the art and everything to kind of just flow, and it doesn't create the same kind of symbology or kind of energy that I really loved from the movie. Like I said, I really wish that this panel had been a little bit bigger, and that they had used a little bit more panels to show that he was throwing the sword at the cross, and then the maybe showing this from the side and the blood kind of just spouting out of the cross. But you know, it is what it is. They do a fantastic job. Obviously, it's Mike Mignola. He does a great job with everything. So I might even just pass going over the art. Well, no, I have to. So then it cuts away to modern time, not modern time, Victoria ages. This is like medieval ages, and it's Mina Harkness, and she's talking about how her life with Jonathan Harkness, or I guess she's not Harkness yet, because they're not married. But she's learning typing so she can help Jonathan in his law practice and stuff. And she's talking to her friend Lucy, who's like her sister. And Lucy's a little slut, and she's got these 3 suitors that want her. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Jonathan comes by. He talks about where he's going to go. He's going to the Eastern European lands, which are very scary and mythic and everything. And he thinks it's going to be a very exciting adventure. And then when they're done, they're going to get married. So it's kind of a prelude to them getting married, because Dracula is a big client, and if he lands this big client and sells all of these properties and stuff that he wants to Dracula, then the law firm that he's at will make him partner, and then he can marry her, and because she's already rich, and he just wants to provide for his new bride or whatever. So in the movie, it transitions from this to this. I can't remember how they did it, whether this turned into a moon, which I kind of think it does. There's a lot of really awesome scene transitions in the movie, and I really kind of wish that they had taken those scene transitions and incorporated them into the comic. It's a really big misstep not to do that. I mean, these eyes turn into wolf eyes later on in the movie, but no, that didn't happen here. And this turns into a moon, and it's above Transylvania and stuff. So it's really a huge missed opportunity in the comic, in the adaptation, to really give something really important to the book. I know that they're not just mailing it in. Mignola I don't think he ever mailed anything in, and the writing is more than competent. Roy Thomas is known as a really good writer, so it's all more than competent. I don't think they're just like, oh, this is a movie adaptation. We're just gonna, not try our hardest, because I really think that they do try their hardest. They just kind of miss the mark on why the movie is so great. And some of it is the scene transitions and the intense energy of each scene has an intense energy and a transition from those different energies, whether it's love and feelings and emotion, to terror and horror and scariness. It's it all changes. So then you have Jonathan. He goes from his boat to a train to a carriage, and this is one of the cool scenes in Dracula again that they kind of miss out. So I guess they kind of miss out on a lot of stuff. The scene where the carriage drives up, and he's waiting there, and his arm actually extends really long. It's like a long shadow. And it's very creepy and very imposing, and they really just don't do that justice here. And he throws him into the carriage, which it happens. So the carriage is taken off. I kind of wish this comic really, now that I'm thinking about it, because I just read it, and I was pretty happy with it. I thought it was a good comic, and yet there's really things in here that I'm nitpicking. But you have the movie to compare it to. If this was just a standalone comic, then I wouldn't have these other instances to compare it to. So you wouldn't lose any of that stuff because you wouldn't know it was there. But like when the carriage is going along and it's a steep drop, it's like on a cliff face of a mountain, and you can see the rivers and stuff, and it really looks perilous and dangerous. And also there's howls in the background of the wolves. That's, this is a very, as any horror thing is, just imagine the music from Friday the 13th or Halloween or any of these other horror movies, and you just Jaws, you just lose so much of the effect from not having the sound in the comic. So, I mean, you've got the howling of the wolves, but it has no real effect on you, scaring wise or anything. So he makes it to Count Dracula, and he comes up to the gate and he meets, he's going to meet Dracula. There's the shadow of him. And then the scene again transitions to Mina and Lucy, and this is where she introduces the three loves of her life, the three men who want to marry her, and she's got to make a decision on who's going to marry who. And they just introduce all of the different characters and stuff, because I mean later on, not in this issue, but later on, she starts becoming a vampire, and they have to fight Dracula off. The three of them that work together and then finally she decides who she's going to be with. So then again, scene transition to, it goes from dark to light to dark again to the Dracula scene. And this is Gary Oldman in some fantastic lighting. The comic has great lighting. The movie had great lighting. That was one of the premier things about the comic, about the movie, that the lighting was so fantastic. So you got Dracula and Jonathan Harkness talking about the land that he's purchased and stuff like that. Dracula says he wants him to spend a month and to write letters to his loved ones. So he does, even though he doesn't want him to. He doesn't want to stay that long, but he does because the Count says you have to, and he's his big money ticket into the law firm. Some of the great shadows in the background is showing Dracula his real form instead of this fleshy form, and that's one of the great things that is actually in the comic and is also in the movies. So, like I said, they are just discussing how he's going to spend the month there, and he found a picture of Mina, and who is Jonathan's wife, of course, or soon to be wife, and she is like also the embodiment of Dracula's original wife that killed herself, and so thus transforming him into Dracula because he had forsaken God because of this thing that she did. Um, so they have some more dialogue and interludes and stuff, and really you can't. You've got pretty good dialogue here. I mean, it's pretty good. But when you have an actor like Gary Oldman just putting it all into it, putting everything, his heart and soul into this character, and he's so believable, so creepy, so eerie. Maybe one of the best villains of all time is Gary Oldman's Dracula, not any other Dracula, but Gary Oldman's Dracula. If you guys disagree, let me know in the comments. If you like Christopher Lee's Dracula is better or whatever, let me know what you think. So again, here's another scene where Jonathan is shaving. He accidentally cuts himself, and and Dracula, they're still having conversations. He doesn't like the mirror as he can't be seen in it, and yet he licks the blood from the razor that nicked Jonathan, and he also sees the cross around his neck and admonishes him for being, religious and believing in those kind of trinkets and stuff. So then he takes off, but he crawls down this wall, which Jonathan is really starting to figure out that there's some creepy stuff going on in this castle, and he does not like it at all. So here is Renfield, who was the original lawyer for Dracula, but he went insane. Apparently, Dracula was telling him that he was going to make him into a vampire if he did what he did, and that turned him kind of loopy. So he's in an insane asylum, and the doctor is actually one of um, uh, the possible husbands of Lucy. So it kind of goes back into this thing, and Renfield is just finally talks about how he wants more lives for the master, and that is obviously Dracula. Renfield, Jonathan uh, starts exploring the castle, even though Dracula told him not to. I don't know why anybody would want to explore that castle, but it's part of the story, and it's a vehicle for certain things. In Cyrene the cleric, they actually stay in a keep, and the bad guy says, "Don't go looking around at night." They do. They get into trouble. It's like a Scooby Doo kind of thing. So Jonathan makes it his way into a bedroom or whatever, and he encounters the three vampire women. They're gonna kill him. They're gonna take his life. In the scene, this kind of melts away, I believe. I think that's how it happens. But in this, they just snap it off him, and they start feeding on him. When Dracula bursts in, he's like, "No, he's mine. He's mine. He belongs to me." And so they give him a hard time for saving that, which is they want a piece of it too, and that he doesn't love them because apparently they're Dracula's brides. But he says he has loved before and he's gonna love again. And they're like, "What? We don't get anything." And just like the movie, he shows a baby, and in this, it's a little bit more deceptive. I don't think is the comics code. This it doesn't have the comic code on it, but apparently they didn't want to show a baby getting thrown to the vampires, which he does. And then he just kind of talks about how he's going to fall in love with Mina because she is the soul of his previous wife. Here's a cool background information on the movie, and it has like Francis Ford Coppola's take on some of the stuff, and it's pretty interesting. It talks about Gary Oldman and all of the stuff. So for the Dead Travel Fast, here's a little Mike Mignola thing. So Dracula #1. The writing is very good. I don't know as I'd say it's very good, but it's competent. It's definitely competent. I had a very difficult time not reciting in my head the dialogue from the movie and hearing Gary Oldman talking about what he's talking about, and all of the other characters. I had a real hard time disassociating the comic from the movie, which I guess that's pretty much what they wanted, because this is not a retelling of Dracula. It's a retelling of Francis Ford Coppola's Brahm Stokers Dracula. So it's an adaptation of the movie, not an adaptation of Dracula. So it's really pretty good that I'm hearing in my head the voices. And even then, as like I said, they missed a few beats because they didn't spread out some of these scenes. I knew it in my head what was going on, so I kind of filled in the blanks, uh, like they say, living life between the panels. Um, so, I mean, the writing is pretty good. It's efficient. It tells the story. It has everything it needs from the movie. It doesn't deviate very at all, really. It might cut out a little bit. I don't know if it's the writer's fault or Mike Mignola's fault that some of these scene transitions are not used and kind of disregarded. This is such a hokey and yet awesome scene where the eyes of Dracula turn into a wolf, and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, that the writing is pretty good. The art is very good. I mean, I can never say anything about bad about Mike Mignola. His shadows are fantastic. He's almost a Sin City ish artist that probably inspired Frank Miller to do Sin City with his such heavy shadows and stuff like that. There's not a lot of rendering, but there really doesn't need to be a lot of rendering. He also does a great thing by just having the I don't know how you would say it. He doesn't try to get all of his characters to look just like they looked in the movie. He just has the essence. He grabs the essence of each character, and that's really what you need when you're translating a comic book or adapting a comic book from a movie. You need the essence of the characters and the actors, not their actually what they look like and stuff. So it's a fantastic job. The coloring's really pretty good. I wish they had used a little bit more red in some of these scenes, but I mean overall it's really a nice book, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed reading it. Like I said, I really love the movie. And they did more than an adequate job. And Mike Mignola is fantastic. The cover is really good. Shows you exactly what you're getting. It is an adaptation, so they can't deviate too far from the source material. But it's pretty good. I'm going to give this a 7, only because um, only because I really feel that the scene transitions were a missed opportunity, and probably a huge missed opportunity. And they didn't add anything to it. Why not just watch the movie? But the Mignola art carries it, and so there's that. So yeah, I'm giving it a 7. Um, if you guys like this kind of content, please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell. And please consider giving it a thumbs up if you like this kind of content. Also, if you guys have this comic and you dig it or whatever, let me know in the comment section. I'd really like to hear from you guys and see what you guys think of adaptations in general, and this one in particular. And I don't know. Has he done more? Has Mignola done more than one adaptation? I kind of think he has, but I'm not sure. I'll have to look into that. But it's pretty cool. It's a 7. Not fantastic, but not bad either. So let me know what you guys think, and I will talk to you guys next time.